Jackie Mazzucato here, and I thought we'd take a little bit of a journey today. I know we can't all get out and about and travel like we used to, and one of the great things about travel was food. So in the last week or so I've been developing some other recipes, and I've headed to Morocco and wanted to make a tagine, a beef tagine. What I love about the tagine is the spice mix that you have. So what I'm going to use for this recipe is a ras el hanout spice mix. And this is a traditional Moroccan spice, but what I found really interesting about this was that every spice shop you go to has their own variation and their own mix. And so just like I've done, you can create your own. It's a cardamom, cumin, coriander, paprika based spice mix, but it also brings in those aromatics like cinnamon and nutmeg. And in fact, some spice shops have up to 30 secret ingredients in theirs. It's a bit like the 11 herbs and spices. In mine, I've got ground coriander, 4 or 5 ground cloves, some nutmeg, some cinnamon, some cumin, some ground coriander, and I've also got turmeric, black pepper, and paprika. And I'm just going to mix that all through. And so unlike sort of more of the barbecue spices and the paprikas and the chilies and things that you use in some of the other more American styles recipes, in this one it is much more aromatic, and have a play with the flavors. I think it's a great one for developing palates of children as well, because this beef tagine is flavoursome and has almost a sweet characteristics that will come from the apricot. It's a great one for children. It's not going to be too spicy for them. So all we're going to do is just cover our meat in this spice mix. I do it with my glove on so I don't colour my hands as well. And you can leave that for as long as you like. You could cover it in the spice mix and leave it in the fridge for a while, but this one you can actually just cook out straight away. Now there's a number of different ways you can cook this recipe. I've made it in the pressure cooker, just a half an hour on high, and oh my goodness, it was absolutely amazing. But you can also make this one, I'm going to do it in the cast iron. If you have a tagine, you can do it in your tagine on the stove top, or alternatively 7 or 8 hours on medium in the slow cooker, and you'll get just the same result. So the first thing I'm going to do, in my cast iron pot, I've got my diced onion already in there with a little bit of olive oil, and I'm just going to sweat those ones off. I don't want to brown them off, I just want to very low heat sweat them off, because I want the sweetness to come out of that onion. And as soon as I've done that, I'm going to throw my meat in and brown my meat off. Okay, so our onions have now softened and they've just gone a little bit translucent there in the bottom of the pan. So, time to add our beautiful beef in. Now, if you haven't got such a large based pan, you can actually do the beef in batches, but my pan's big enough I can actually just do that in one go. Turn my heat up slightly and let's brown that meat off. Oh, the aromas coming from this pot. Starts to give you a feel of what it's going to taste like when you eat it, and then what you can match it with as well. Okay, so our beef's now all browned off there in the pot, and we've got some nice little bits forming on the bottom of the pan, which will add to the flavour. So what I'm going to add to that is I've got a tin of tomatoes here, just diced crushed tomatoes, and I've got a cup of beef stock, but you can actually use water in this one as well if you don't have the beef stock. I just thought the beef stock would give it just that little bit more flavour. To that I'm going to add, I've got 10 diced apricots. Now that'll give some of that sweetness that we were talking about back into this beef dish. So you've got the sweetness, the aromatics and the spices. But you can use dates or prunes. In fact, I've used sultanas as well. It just really depends what I've got in the cupboard at the time when I'm making this dish. But the apricots bring out a nice sort of fruit flavour and match really well with the beef. To that, I'm going to add my diced potatoes, and we have about, they're only small potatoes here, but about 8 small potatoes. So a couple of cups worth of potatoes. And I'm just going to mix that all through. And then we're going to, once it's heated up and we've got all those lovely bits off the bottom of the pan, we're going to pop our lid on and then that will cook away on the oven there for, I'm thinking probably about an hour or so. I'm going to check on it in an hour. I can't give you an exact time, and it's very hard in a recipe not to give an exact time, but what we're really looking for is for the potatoes obviously to be cooked through, but for the meat to be falling apart. I've used chuck steak, so that's a really good budget cut of meat, but we want that to be really just falling apart. So here is beef tagine with apricots. That cooked away on the oven top there for about an hour. I added a little bit more water during the cook as it started to dry off a little bit, and I wanted to keep the beef and the potatoes moist through that cook. And in the last half hour, I've taken the lid off and just let that sauce reduce down. The home smells amazing. So what am I going to pair this with? I've got one of the Henry Holmes Barossa Shiraz. This is an absolute sensational steal at the moment, 70% off. So that's what I'm going to pair this beef tagine with. Oh, such a lovely red. So I've just served up with a carrot and sultana salad, a little bit of couscous, some yogurt on the side, and let's see what we like. Wow, absolute magnificent flavour coming through that. As I said, you can cook this in the slow cooker 7 or 8 hours. In the slow cooker, again, you want to wait till your beef falls apart. Or, as I've done in the past, you can also do it in the pressure cooker, half an hour on high, and it's ready to go and just as flavoursome. But this is the stovetop version today. About an hour and a half it took today. So, bon appetito.